Okay, let's unpack this. This really universal frustration that I think haunts almost every single one of us. It's the knowing-doing gap.
Hmm.
If you've ever found yourself thinking, I know exactly what I should do right now, but you're just sitting there doing nothing about it, then you know what we're talking about. It's this chasm.
It really is.
It's the gap between what we get intellectually, eating healthier, saving money, being a more patient person, and what we actually do, what we put into action when it counts.
Yeah, we become masters of acquiring information,
Ugh.
but we fail at the execution. And it's the ultimate performance psychology challenge, really. It's so pervasive because we often confuse activity with results.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what the sources we looked at suggest is that performance improves very, very little if all we're doing is reading, thinking, talking, maybe reflecting.
Right.
You get this temporary feeling of progress, but you're still stuck in this abstract world of ideas.
Right.
To actually improve, you have to act. You have to practice, experiment, and then use the feedback to change your physical responses.
So we need a system, a way to get an idea out of our head and, I guess, into our body.
Precisely. And that's our mission in this deep dive. We're going to explore a really practical method designed to do just that. It's called the mind-to-muscle pattern from the field of neurosemantics.
And it's not a new problem at all. I was thinking of that great quote from General Norman Schwarzkopf. He just nailed this. He said, "The truth of the matter is that you always know the right thing to do. The hard part is doing it."
That's it right there.
So for you, the listener, the bottom line is that knowledge is only power when you act on it. It needs that intelligent, informed action.
Which is what this pattern is all about.
Mm.
It gives us a structured way to stop just thinking about great ideas and actually start, well, performing them.
And it's fascinating how universal the struggles are. You might know all the principles of a good relationship. You should listen, validate, show empathy. But the second you get into a stressful argument,
They're gone. Just gone.
vanished. Or take financial well-being. Everyone knows the basic idea, right? Spend less than you make.
Well.
Save a little with every paycheck. They're simple truths.
Profound truths even. But the consistent implementation, that's where most of us fail.
Yeah.
And that failure is often hidden behind what we could call deceptive pseudo-actions. We actually make the gap wider by confusing pre-actions with real performance.
Okay, a pre-action. Like what?
Think about the person who spends, say, 6 hours creating the world's most perfect budgeting spreadsheet. They research all the best index funds. They write a 5-year financial plan.
Oh, I've been this person.
Right. You
Yeah.
feel so productive. But you haven't actually moved any money. You haven't made the transfer. You haven't faced the discomfort of not buying something you wanted.
That rings so true. You feel exhausted and therefore you feel accomplished. But the actual thing, the action, it hasn't happened.
Exactly. The sources are so clear on this, talking about strategies, making reports, planning. That's all critical groundwork. But it is explicitly not the performance itself.
And this connects back to some pretty well-known psychology, doesn't it? I'm thinking of Carol Dweck's work on mindset.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
There's a natural connection there. People operating with more of a growth mindset tend to bridge this gap better because they're just more action-oriented. They see failure as data.
As a springboard, not a verdict.
Exactly.
Mm.
They believe their abilities can be developed through effort, through persistence. They aren't paralyzed by that dread of failure that you see in a fixed mindset.
So they naturally lean toward action. But even the most growth-minded person still needs the mechanics, right?
Yeah.
To turn a principle like I should be more resilient into a repeatable physical action.
And that's where neurosemantics comes in. That's the framework.
Okay, so let's get into that philosophy.
So neurosemantics really has a dual focus,
Mm-hmm.
meaning on one hand and performance on the other. The whole goal is to perform your best meanings, to take your most valued ideas and beliefs and actually act on them.
So it's a two-way street, making our actions meaningful and making our meanings actionable.
You got it. And to do that, the core concept is something called installation.
Installation. It sounds like installing software on a computer, but for our brains.
That's a great way to think about it. It's the process of incorporating a concept so deeply into your body's neurology that it becomes yours. It runs automatically.
But why is that so necessary? Can't we just decide to do something?
Well, think about learning a complex skill, like driving a stick shift for the first time.
Oh, that was a disaster for me.
Right. At first, you're so conscious of every single movement, the clutch, the gas, shifting gears. It's slow, it's analytical, you make a lot of mistakes. You know the principle of how to shift, but you can't do it smoothly.
Not at all.
Installation is the point where your foot and your hand just, they just know what to do. You're not thinking about it anymore. That knowledge is automated. That's the goal here, to make your knowledge dynamic, applied, and ready for real-time performance.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The mechanics of this rely on something called the metastating process. Sounds a bit technical, but you're saying this is the engine for the whole thing.
It is the engine. A metastate is simply when you have a response to your own response. So for example, if you feel anxiety and then you feel a sense of calmness about your anxiety, that calmness is the metastate.
You're layering one feeling on top of another.
You're layering one state calmness onto another state anxiety. And by doing that, you set a higher frame. The calmness now frames the anxiety, and it completely changes how you experience it.
I see. So the mind-to-muscle pattern uses this process to, what, coach our body on how to feel an idea?
That is the function, yes. It coaches the body. We're layering a decision or a belief onto our sense of self to move a concept from that high analytical part of the mind down through the deeper layers of belief and finally grounding it in a muscular action.
Okay, before we dive into the 5 steps, you mentioned there's a really important prerequisite. This pattern isn't for just any old goal.
Correct. It's strictly for translating principles or concepts. A high-level mental awareness like an understanding or a belief. It's not designed for a primary goal like I want to lose 10 pounds.
The goals come later.
The goals emerge as an output of the process. This is about installing the principle that drives the action.
Got it. Okay, let's detail the steps. Let's stick with our wealth creation example to make it really tangible for everyone listening.
Perfect. Step 1 is identify the principle. Here you just state the knowledge, clearly and abstractly. And the sources say it's crucial to keep it general, intellectual. Avoid personal pronouns beyond I understand that.
Okay, so step 1 is the big abstract thought. I understand that wealth is created by consistently saving and investing a portion of income over time. Just a fact, like something you'd read in a book.
Exactly. Now, step 2, describe the principle as a belief. This is where you take that abstract idea and rephrase it as a personal declaration.
Okay, hold on a second. Isn't saying, I believe I need to save money, just a slightly fancier version of what we just said? It still feels like it's just an idea floating in my head. How is a belief really different?
That is a great question, because this is where the metastating process really starts to kick in. When you shift from, I understand that, to I believe that, you're actually turning the idea into a command to your nervous system.
A command.
Yes. You're layering this state of belief onto the concept. Understanding is just observational. Belief is integrated. It feels more personal, more true for you. It sets a completely new frame for your self-concept around that idea.
That makes sense. It's the difference between agreeing with a statement and making it part of my own operating manual. So step 2 becomes, I believe that sustained capital is built by reliably saving a small percentage of my income on a regular basis.
Precisely. Now we engage the will. Step 3, turn the belief into a decision. This is where you make a conscious volitional choice. You're setting a direction for the future.
It feels heavier.
It is. It moves beyond just a belief, and it taps into the neurology of commitment.
So the decision would be something like, from this day forward, I will build capital by ensuring I save at least 10% of my income every week, no matter what.
Okay, but what if I try to say that and I feel resistance? Like a part of me is saying, no way.
That resistance is completely normal. It's your old habits pushing back. But the power here is in making that volitional choice. A decision is a commitment to a future path, and it uses so much more of your neurology than a passive belief. It moves the principle from being just an option to being a directive.
And that's why the resistance shows up.
Exactly. But it's a necessary neurological step before any real physical action can happen.
Okay, so we've gone from abstract concept to personal conviction to a hard commitment. Now step 4, access the resulting emotional state.
Yes, and here you ask that pivotal future-focused question. If I fully believe this and completely made this decision, what would I be feeling then?
And why is that so important? Because emotion is the fuel for action. By accessing the feelings you'd have after you've already committed, maybe it's excitement, pride, even a little anxiety about the discipline, you activate what the sources call motor programs.
So it's not just about feeling good. We're using that emotion, that hope, that relief of finally taking charge as neurological fuel.
That's it. That emotional awareness creates a visceral neurological push to do something that matches the feeling. Emotion is movement. The feeling generates the impulse to act.
And that rush of energy and emotion leads us right to the final and most crucial step. Step 5, Take a small, effective action.
This is the moment. This is where the abstract idea, the belief, the decision, and all that emotional fuel get channeled into one single physical behavior. You just identify one thing you can do today.
And it doesn't have to be a huge thing.
No, it should be a small, concrete action, something to give the idea reality.
So the idea is no longer just floating around. It's now tethered to a physical behavior. For our wealth example, that action could be, I will immediately set up the automatic transfer for 10% of my paycheck.
Or even smaller. I will text my friend right now and say, I just committed to saving 10% and I want you to ask me about it next week.
Ah, accountability.
That small action is the crucial link. It moves the idea into a muscular response. It provides sensory-based evidence that the whole pattern works, and it creates a complete feedback loop. Idea to muscle, you've closed the gap.
So to wrap this all up for you, the listener, we've gone on this journey from an abstract concept all the way to a physiological action using the mind-to-muscle pattern. And the main finding here is simple. Knowledge only becomes dynamic and useful when it's embodied, when it's available for real-time performance.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, we have to constantly be aware of the difference between planning and actually doing.
Yeah.
We spend so much time planning, researching, making the perfect spreadsheet.
And we trick ourselves.
We trick ourselves into believing the plan was the performance. But the truth is, the gap is only closed when your muscles respond.
The planning is just the rehearsal. Step 5 is the show. We stay too long in the world of inspired thought without ever entering the world of muscular response, which is the only place change really happens.
And that's the perfect takeaway. For you listening right now, pick one single principle, one thing you know you should be doing but you haven't acted on, and just run it through these steps.
Don't overthink it. Focus on that final step. What is the single, smallest, effective action you can take today, maybe in the next hour, to give that idea immediate physical reality? Go install your greatness.